Let's move on now to this matter of compression. Now, compression is a term you won't find in Jones or in Gimson. It's actually a term I borrowed from Jack Winsor Lewis. I don't know if he knows this, but I thought we needed a general expression to refer to a number of different processes we have in English whereby two syllables become one. Syllables get squashed together, get compressed. I wanted to bring together two things that had often been treated separately. One is the alternation in words like lenient, becoming lenient. The other is the alternation in words like prisoner, becoming prisoner. It seems to me they're both the same phenomenon. They both involve a syllabic sound becoming non-syllabic. And that's what I then call compression. So first of all, what about these words like lenient? If you want to get a group of native speakers talking, you ask them, how many syllables are there in lenient? And they will immediately disagree with one another. Some will say, well, 3, obviously, lenient. Others will say, oh, no, there are 2, lenient. Who's right? Well, they're both right. Because this kind of word may be pronounced either way in English. This is immediately clear from versification. Do you know the words of the national anthem? God save our gracious Queen, long live our noble Queen, long live the Queen. Send her victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. Each of these is 3 syllables, victorious, glorious, over us, and they have the appropriate number of beats, of notes in the music. Send her victorious, happy and glorious. Okay, so clearly here we're treating aureus as 3 syllables. Aureus. However, there's another well-known hymn sung to the tune of the German national anthem, which goes, glorious things of thee are spoken, Zion, city of our God. And we sing, glorious things of thee are spoken, glorious things. Do you notice what's happening there? Glorious things. It's pronounced as 2 syllables. Glorious things. It's the same word, glorious, glorious. We make it 3 syllables or 2, depending on the scansion of the rest of the verse. And if you look through tightly scanned verse of any kind, you will find that this is a fact that's been exploited by English poets for many centuries. That words of this type can be treated in either of 2 ways. Well, in Jones's EPD you find this sort of word given 2 entries, as if it was on a par with tomato, tomato. But it's clearly not. We, all of us, have got both of these options available within our own repertoire. My suspicion is that the uncompressed form is more likely in slow, careful, deliberate speech. It's more likely with words that are being used for the first time in a discourse. It's more likely with unfamiliar, rare words. Whereas the compressed form is more likely in casual, rapid speech, in the case of words that have already been used in the conversation, and in the case of familiar words. Now, notice how compression can also apply to words with weak forms. As in the next example on the handout, where don't be a fool can equally get the be compressed into don't be a fool, don't be a fool, don't be a fool. Okay, so examples, lenient become lenient. Now the same thing with oo before a vowel. Influence can have 3 syllables, influence, under the influence, or it can have 2 syllables, influence, 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 influence. Okay, and we could find the same sort of thing with a weak form if we take a phrase like, be careful, that firework is about to explode. We know that to before a vowel has the root form to explode, and we can here get compression into about to explode, about to explode, it's about to explode, it's about to explode. Well, I think it's the same process that gives the syllabic nasal becoming non-syllabic. This choice in a word like prisoner becoming prisoner. Now, if we started off with prisoner, it was syllabic consonant formation that gives us prisoner, and then it's this compression that gives the option of prisoner. 2 syllables, prisoner. Same thing happens in a word like threatening, from the verb to threaten. It starts off as 3 syllables, threatening, but it can be compressed to 2, threatening. There are 3 more examples of compression in connected speech. Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story. It's about to arrive, can give you, it's about to arrive, it's about to arrive, it's about to arrive. Out and about, gives you syllabic N, out and about, they're out and about, but that syllabic N can lose its syllabicity, giving out and about, out and about. Okay, further examples on the handout. Bottling becomes bottling. Preference becomes preference. Now, there are a number of interesting points to note about this process. First of all, there are a number of very common words where we have got so used to compression that really we always do it. So, the first word here used to be every, but really that's unrealistic for modern English. It's now normally, in fact I think always one could say, pronounced every. Because it's such a common everyday word, people compressed it all the time, so we now learn it only in its compressed form as children. And really, I don't have any other way of saying it except every. Same is true with what used to be several. It's now, nowadays, pronounced as a 2-syllable word, several. Several. Now, there are other words in the vocabulary where I think it's clear that speakers differ. Personally, I've got to make a word like general 2 syllables. I don't really have an option general, but I'm aware that other people can say general. I think I learned it as a child, always in the compressed form, general. I learned the word factory in its compressed form as a child. There may be other people who say factory. I learned the word camera in its compressed form. 2 syllables, camera. 100 years ago it was certainly camera. And there are words in the vocabulary where the spelling, of course, shows this. Think about the word angry. This obviously relates to anger, and it's just formed by adding "i" on the end of anger. It must once have been angry, but now it's always angry, and we show this in the spelling. There are some cases where, even though we show it in the spelling, speakers are not unanimous in compressing. Only this morning on the radio, I heard someone using the pronunciation disastrous. All right, it's obvious it's from disaster with us, so disastrous. But the spelling convention is that we show this as compressed, disastrous, with no letter E in it, and therefore the corresponding pronunciation convention is that you're supposed to compress it. It's categorically compressed for disastrous. But awareness of the morphology, that it's made of disaster plus us, seems to be sufficiently strong where some people pronounce it sometimes in an uncompressed way. So all of this business of compression is made more complicated by the uncertainty about what's called lexicalization, when we lexicalize the result of a phonological rule, and then it just becomes part of history rather than part of our present-day processes. Another word that I often see misspelt is the word dysentery. Do you know the word dysentery? This is a disease, diarrhea and whatnot. It's pronounced usually dysentery. Correct spelling is like that, but you often see people misspelling it. So, in other words, misspelling it as if it had a categorical compression in it, because it's usually said with a compression. Dysentery. Well now, as we saw, these compressions with vowels can also take place in running speech. That's also true of consonants. And here are some interesting examples. A couple of minutes, that L can lose its syllabicity, giving a couple of minutes, a couple of minutes, a couple of minutes, a couple of minutes. The V may go as well, you get a coupler as a result, a couple of minutes. In American English, it's gone further than this. They lose the schwa and just say a couple of minutes. But I think we usually keep the schwa in a couple of minutes. And this last example is a very complex one, but just to show how these rules feed into one another. If we've got a neighbour of ours, what can happen? Well, weak form of is of. A neighbour of ours. So there's the weakening. But then this is subject to linking R. So a neighbour of ours. A neighbour of ours. That sequence schwa R is a candidate that becomes syllabic R. A neighbour of ours. A neighbour of ours. And that syllabic R is a candidate to lose its syllabicity by compression, giving a neighbour of ours. A neighbour of ours. I was talking to a neighbour of ours. And this is why we have a whole range of possible ways of saying a phrase like this. Each of these processes is, in some sense, optional. I mean, the weakening of the vowel is pretty categorical, but the rest are, to varying degrees, optional. Nevertheless, each one is quite likely, and each one feeds into the next one. So you're really perhaps most likely to end up with this final form, a neighbour of ours. A neighbour of ours. But you can only understand that in the light of the various separate processes that we consider. Well now, one very important constraint on the matter of compression. Well, first of all, the only ones that are subject to it, the vowels that lose their syllabicity are the in of happy, the of situation, and schwa when it's part of a syllabic consonant, when you've got a syllabic consonant. But the very important constraint to notice is that the following vowel has got to be weak. And here's a great justification for the distinction between weak and strong vowels. We've got here the example radiant. Radiant. She had a radiant smile. Now that can compress, ear can become yellow. A radiant smile, radiant smile. However, in the verb to radiate, that E is followed by a strong vowel, the diphthong A, and that prevents compression. You can't say radiate. Radiating. So, yes, you can say radiant. Yeah. No, you can't say radiate. Yeah. And this seems to be attributable to the fact that in radiant is a weak vowel, but A in radiate is a strong vowel. Look at these examples. We have a verb-adjective pair in English, both spelled the same way. The verb is to separate. To separate. To separate. The adjective is usually pronounced separate. How can this be? Well, the usual thing with these pairs with ate suffix is that the verb has ate and the adjective has ut, or for some speakers, it. So we say associate, to associate something with somebody, but an associate, or an associate member. So we've got to separate, and we'd expect separate. Well, you can say separate. But then the question of syllabic consonant comes in. You can get separate, well you can. You can certainly get separate here. But this one is then going to be a candidate for further compression, losing its syllabicity. That's separate, where you've got earth, whereas separate with a strong A cannot have compression because the vowel is strong. So the verb has to remain as 3 syllables to separate, whereas the adjective can get you 2 syllables, separate. Exactly the same arguments apply with the verb to moderate compared with the adjective moderate. Moderate or moderate. You can get compression with the adjective, moderate becomes moderate, but not with the verb moderate. Can't become moderate.